Welcome to Garden Hike. I'm Kevin, and for today's video we're going to be opening up the inner canopy of this Russian olive tree. Yeah, the Russian olive. It's not going to be a tree you'll find at most nurseries, garden centers. Considered a bit of a scrappy tree or a weed tree just because it has a lot of seeds. They're going to come up in locations you may not want it, and it doesn't have, well, perfect form. The Russian olive can actually have its own unique character, and that's what we're going to try to create today, is something unique out of this. My hand's been forced due to a main branch off to the right. It just picked up a canker on it and it died out. Early on when I first planted this tree, a windstorm kind of pushed it over. It was at a bit of an angle, but I liked it because it reminded me of a tree from my college days, a Russian olive that had, boy, it was almost a 45-degree angle, and it was just very unique for the location that it was in. Okay, real quick, before we get started pruning, here's a close-up look of that silvery green foliage and the seeds, which make this tree invasive in many areas. About 6 years ago, our tree was looking more like a large shrub, so I pruned up some of the lower branches to get it back into tree form. And then just a few years after that, a windstorm caused a main branch to go down. So this tree has been a work in progress. Okay, then I'm going to start with taking out that main dead branch with a chainsaw first, and then we'll break out the ladder, climb up there, and also probably be using a pole saw to cut some of those limbs. It's always a good idea to take the pressure off that branch a little bit further out before you make your final cut. That way you avoid having that branch tear and cause even a bigger injury in one of the main trunks. I'll be stepping back and forth quite a bit throughout this project just to see what it looks like from different angles. Even though those berries or seeds can be a nuisance, the squirrels love them in the winter, as well as a lot of my different birds come in throughout the winter too, and they're using them as a good food source. It does have a pretty major thorn as well, so you've got to be careful there. Again, that probably puts it in that category of a bit of a scrappy tree. Oh, yeah! Just got pricked by one of them. Look at that thing. Some of those can get even twice that size. So wow, yeah, that's something to be careful of for sure. Trouble with these pole pruners, it's really hard to get the right angle at times. So it takes some moving the ladder around. One of the other pluses with the Russian olive is it will tolerate pretty dry soils and high pH alkali type soils. So there are people that have soils that are just, well, poor, and they need trees that will grow, and the Russian olive is one of those trees. If you're interested in looking at all the varieties in this bed when we're done here, check that description box below for a video where I highlight what we have growing in here, as well as showing you how adding fresh mulch can really transform your garden beds. I almost decided that I was going to take out this entire branch back to the main trunk, this draping out over our mugo pine, but I decided what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave it for now. What's the rush? I'm going to just take out some of those lower branches first, and then we'll clean up some of these here too, and see if that makes a difference. And then on this branch here, I want to create a bit of a tiered effect where we leave the outer portion of this branch, but then we clean up a lot of these inner ones here. Due to its invasive nature in many areas, I'm not recommending you plant this species, but the pruning I'm doing here is a good example of what you can do on many other desirable tree varieties. Opening up that inner canopy, exposing those trunks, just gives the area a whole new look and feel. On a similar note, just pruning up a few lower hanging branches on trees can really change the look of your landscape. Once again, check that description box and I'll add one more video where I show examples of this type of pruning on several different tree varieties. Okay, let's step back here behind our water feature and pergola and take a look at how our tree looked before I started pruning. And then we've got the after we're done pruning. And here's a look at our tree from the same angle at the opening of the video. Yeah, I'm really liking how this turned out. And around the corner here, I want to show you just one more view from the back side of this bed. It sure doesn't take long to get a pile of brush on a project like this, but I'll get that hauled off to our public recycling center where they grind down tree branches for mulch. Okay, here's our before photo looking a little shaggy, and then the after photo. A nice change, and we've also created more light, more space for the plants below, like that mugo pine I mentioned earlier. I've got one more tree, a little buckeye tree that I want to keep quite a bit smaller. I did some terminal pruning in the spring, and I'm going to also open up the canopy on that little tree as well. But I'll roll that into another video, so hit that subscribe notification if you want to catch that video in the future. Thanks for stopping by Garden Hike. That's a finished project on this one. We'll see you again next video.